came down though? What came down?
The crash, the other train, it's down.
On September 11, 2001, the United States was faced with a series of 4 coordinated terrorist attacks by Al-Qaeda. Around 25,000 people were injured, while 2,977 people were killed in the attacks. For most Americans, 9/11 is a day not to be forgotten. Well, you'd think that. In 2001, researchers from across the U.S. set out to record people's memories about when they first heard about 9/11 in the frame of a 10-year-long study. Within a year of the attack, there were major inconsistencies found in people's memories. Only about 63% of responses, on average, matched the responses recorded initially. That means, on average, 37% of responses were inconsistent, misremembered, or wrong. Despite this inconsistency, people's confidence in their memories was sky high. Why is that? Why did so many people forget the circumstances of hearing about such an unforgettable, emotionally charged event? Memories regarding the circumstances of learning about highly emotional and often shocking events, such as 9/11, are what scientists call flashbulb memories. We tend to remember these flashbulb memories with great accuracy and detail due to the emotional intensity of these memories, which makes them somewhat unforgettable. These memories are the who, what, when, and where of when you heard the news. What's interesting is that these memories are not very consistent or reliable as they change over time, while their confidence about these memories remains extremely high. This begs the question, how much can we trust our memories? There are generally 2 main issues with memory: forgetting and misremembering, or false memories. Forgetting is the simple and very natural losing of a certain memory, while misremembering is a little more complicated with that, as we'll later see. There are a few theories in the science of forgetting about why we forget. Perhaps the most popular, the interference theory, claims that forgetting is the result of the interference of different memories with one another. Interference is more likely when the memories are similar. This is why you're more likely to forget what happens on an unremarkable routine day, because it's too similar to the thousands of other days you've had. There are 2 types of interference. Number 1, retroactive interference. Retroactive interference is when new information interferes with old information. For example, you might find it difficult to remember your childhood classmates' names because you've memorized other classmates' names. Number 2, proactive interference. Proactive interference is when old information makes it difficult to acquire new information. For example, you might have a hard time memorizing a new password due to memories of your old password. A similar but simpler theory is the displacement theory, which explains forgetting as displacement from the short-term memory due to a lack of capacity. In other words, you forget memories because new memories push out the old memories as there's not enough space. This theory is similar to retroactive interference. Another theory about forgetting is the trace decay theory. It basically says that time is the main factor determining how much you forget information. Duh! According to the theory, when you acquire new information, you develop a trace as a result of physical and chemical changes in the brain. This trace will go on to fade over time if it's not rehearsed. But this theory seems to oversimplify the phenomenon of forgetting and does not seem to explain why certain memories fade quicker and others stay longer. It's clear there are other factors that contribute to memory and forgetting. The retrieval failure theory attributes forgetting to a lack of access. According to the theory, there are two reasons we may not have access to a certain memory: encoding failures and lack of retrieval cues. Encoding failure is when your brain fails to encode certain information to be encoded in the long-term memory, probably because it didn't deem it important enough to remember. Lack of retrieval cues is when there are no cues to trigger your memories. This is based on the idea that when we store memories, they come with certain cues that might trigger them. For example, the music of an ice cream truck can trigger memories from your childhood. This idea is also the basis of the cue-dependent theory. As for misremembering, it is through a process called source monitoring that we try to understand what truly happened, opposed to what happened in a dream or a movie. However, we often experience source monitoring errors for several reasons. Here are some. Inaccurate perceptions. Inaccurate perceptions could account for misremembering. As our brains aren't perfect, we might miss a thing here or there, and it could lead to us believing that we've seen or done something that didn't actually happen. It's very much like visual illusions, but about things that didn't happen. Number 2, inference. Inference is also a cause of misremembering. As new memories interfere with old ones, we are left with gaps to fill, and our minds do just that. They fill these gaps and holes with their best guesses. Number 3, misinformation effect. Another thing that contributes to inference is misinformation effect. Basically, if people give you wrong information about something that happened, you might be led to believe it's true. In one study in 1974 by Elizabeth Loftus and John Palmer, participants were shown footage of a traffic accident and consequently asked to estimate the speed of the cars. They asked, how fast were the cars going when they blank each other? For each group, they used a different verb: smashed, collided, bumped, hit, or contacted. Findings showed that when smashed was used, participants estimated a higher speed than when hit was used. This shows that even the most minimal information can change our perception of events. Number 4, emotion. Another cause is emotion. How certain situations make us feel can drastically change how we remember the events. Traumatic events, for example, may be suppressed, or the details of the situation may become fuzzy. Similarly, we may exaggerate the intensity of a situation due to how emotional we were. Number 5, misattribution. Lastly, misattribution may also lead to misremembering. It occurs when you mix up the details of a story with another. You may misremember which vacation it was during which you were stung by a bee, or which friends you were with on your birthday 2 years ago. It's clear that misremembering and forgetting work in similar ways. When it comes to misremembering, however, the stakes are higher. See, when you forget, you lose information. But when you misremember, you have inaccurate information and false memories, and often it comes with confidence of accuracy. Here's an example to explain the situation. If you forget whether you turned the stove off or not, you may go back and turn it off. But if you misremember turning the stove off when you hadn't, there's a problem. In 1995, another famous experiment conducted by Elizabeth Loftus went on to show that people can be led to have false memories. In her study, she was able to make 25% of her participants believe they were once lost in a shopping mall as a child. Another 2002 study led half the participants to believe they had once taken a hot air balloon ride as a child by simply showing them a manipulated photo proof. The reason this may be horrifying is that false memories may be planted into your head and you would remember these memories as if you've personally lived them. What if you misremember key moments of your life? What if you misremember important info like your blood type? What if you misremember committing a crime you have never actually committed? Now that is concerning. And it's why interrogations nowadays have strict laws in order not to coerce people into forming false memories under pressure. Moreover, eyewitness testimonies have been increasingly questioned by psychologists like Elizabeth Loftus due to recent results regarding false memories. It has been demonstrated time and time again that people may be led to form false memories and believe them to be true. Some have been coerced to confess crimes they haven't committed after being given false memories. Others misremembered the faces or details of certain crimes and got innocent people put in prison. To get back to the original question, how reliable is your memory? The answer is clear. Not very much. But there's no reason to be alarmed. Despite the shocking results from memory research, it's good to remember that some people do not yield to attempts to form new memories. Despite the false information they are given, they are able to distinguish between what's true and what's not. And although they may experience errors every now and then, our memories help us immensely in our daily lives in every single thing we do. They contribute to our sense of self, our identities, and what makes us, us. And that is one great feat. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Like and subscribe.